We are right on the edge of a huge shift for AI assistants. And what's really interesting is that it's not being led by the big tech companies you'd expect. Nope. Instead, it's a small open source tool called Clawdbot that's just taking over, and honestly, for a really good reason. It's a total rethink of what an AI assistant can even do. And it's one of the most powerful tools I've seen in a long, long time.
Just think about that for a second. We've all gotten so used to our AIs living in one little box, right? A single chat window or an app. But what if they could just break out of that? What if they could operate across your entire digital world?
Well, that is exactly the problem Claudebot is here to solve. It's this amazing open source project that pretty much jailbreaks large language models. It liberates them from being stuck in one app and lets them run wild across platforms like Telegram, Slack, and even WhatsApp.
Okay, let's dive into this because once you understand how Claudebot works, you'll really get why it's such a big deal. This is not just another chatbot. It's a whole new way of thinking about AI assistants.
The best way to picture Claudebot is to think of it like an air traffic controller for AI. So you send it a message from, say, Telegram. Claudebot is the central hub that gets that message. It looks at what you asked and then decides, okay, for this job, I need this specific AI model, and I need to use this tool, and I need this special skill. It's basically the central nervous system for a whole team of AIs working just for you.
And this chart right here, it just shows what a massive leap this is. Old school assistants are reactive. They just sit there waiting for you to tell them what to do. Claudebot can be proactive, running tasks on its own schedule. It's also model agnostic, which is just a fancy way of saying you can plug in any AI engine you want. Claude, Google, you could even run a local model on your own machine to keep costs down. And get this, instead of clunky integrations that are always running, it uses just-in-time skills. So it only calls up a tool when it actually needs it. Way more efficient.
And these features are just incredibly powerful. Because it's open source, you can tweak it and customize it however you want. It can be totally autonomous, doing things like checking up on your competitors every hour, all by itself. But this is my favorite part, the personalization. When you set it up, it actually interviews you to create a file called a soul.md. This file literally defines its personality, how it talks, how it behaves. And to top it all off, it can have its own dedicated computer, like a little Mac Mini, where it can manage its own files and run its own apps. It's wild.
Okay, so whenever a new technology this powerful drops, it creates this window of opportunity. I'd say for the next 6 to 12 months, people who really get a handle on Claudebot are going to have a huge advantage. So let's talk about 3 ways you could capitalize on this trend right now. First up, the most direct and straightforward way to make money with this, offering it as a setup service. You could go after busy founders, CEOs, people who don't have the time to figure out the tech themselves, but would absolutely pay to have a powerful, personalized AI assistant. You're basically bridging the education gap. You're not selling them the tech, you're selling them the result. Or, hey, if you already have an audience, you could create and sell a course teaching people how to set this all up the right way. Now, for a more scalable idea, you could create an assistant-in-a-box agency. This is a whole new take on the virtual assistant business model. You create a simple, repeatable setup process, maybe using a dedicated Mac Mini for every client. Then you charge a setup fee plus a monthly retainer for maintenance, support, and updates. And for a lot of jobs, like imagine an AI for a real estate agent that automatically drafts outreach emails for new listings, this could be way cheaper and more powerful than hiring a person. The third opportunity, well, this one might be the biggest of them all. Some people are already calling this the new SaaS, software as a service. Think about it. The chat window is quickly becoming the main way we get things done online. This opens up a massive new frontier for developers to create these valuable, niche skills that other people's AI assistants can use. Imagine building a tool that analyzes financial reports, not as a standalone app, but as a skill that hundreds of other Claudebots can just plug in and use. The barrier to entry to the software market just plummeted because you don't even need a fancy user interface anymore. You just need powerful, reliable code on the back end. This is the new App Store moment for AI. Okay, now, before we get too carried away with all the cool possibilities, we absolutely have to talk about security. Because with this kind of power comes a whole lot of responsibility, and Claudebot is not something you should mess around with lightly. This quote from the source material, man, it just perfectly captures the risks. If you set this up wrong, you could create a blast radius of chaos. You could expose your personal files, your bank accounts, everything.
This is a very serious thing you cannot ignore.
So, how do you manage these risks first? And this is non-negotiable. Never run Claudebot on your personal machine. Use a separate computer or secure container like Docker. Second, create a brand new set of accounts for your AI assistant, a new iCloud, a new email, the whole shebang. Think of it like you're hiring a new employee. You wouldn't give them your personal logging, right? And finally, be super careful with your API keys. Lock down their permissions and set really low spending caps that automatically reload. That way, if a hacker gets your key, they can't run up a giant bill on your dime.
So to wrap things up, let's just zoom out and think about what a technology like this really means. Claudebot isn't just a cool new tool. It's a sign of a completely new era for artificial intelligence. The bar for what we expect from an AI assistant has been raised, and it's not going back down. Before, we were happy if an AI could give us a smart answer. From now on, the expectation is that our AI needs to be capable. It needs to actually do things, manage files, and be an active participant in our lives. That's the new standard. The whole conversation around AI is changing. The question is no longer just about how smart an AI is. The new question is about its autonomy. Does it have its own computer, its own environment, its own ability to act? This is the future, and it is happening right now. The only real question left is, are you ready for what's coming?